today's video about 10 different times. If you guys follow me on Goodreads, you'll know that I finished Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas a couple days ago. And some of you have probably been wondering, gee, where is Sophie's review on Queen of Shadows? It's been like 3 days. Yeah. I've tried multiple times, and I have just been incapable of speaking, of comprehending my thoughts and emotions because wow. Today's review is going to be an interesting one. That book. I apologize in advance for all the nonsense that comes out of my mouth in this video, because I probably am not going to make much sense today. So, as you can tell from the title of this video, I am finally going to be talking to you guys today about the one and only Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. This book is my child. I never want to let it go. I literally can't look at the cover of this book without getting emotional. I apologize, this video is going to be just quite a mess. Yeah, so today's video is not going to be a review because I simply am not capable of doing one of my normal organized reviews on this book. I've tried giving it a few days to get my thoughts together and to process this book, but I still am having a hard time speaking and functioning. As you can see, I'm pretty much failing at talking right now. So yeah, instead of doing a review for this book, because I'm not capable of doing that, I am going to be doing a book talk because I just want to talk about this book with you guys. I just need to get my emotions out, and I just need to tell you guys all the things that I was feeling throughout this book and all the emotions. This video is already a mess. I'm sorry, you guys. Fangirling at its finest right here. As you guys know, this book is really freaking big, and it would take me forever to go through every single thing that happened. So instead of going through everything that happened in order, I'm just gonna talk about the moments that I found to be the most significant while reading this book and that had me freaking out the most. And there's so many of those that I made a list, like a page of those moments on my computer. So we should just go ahead and just get into it because there is so much. But before I go ahead and jump into things, I'm just going to say that those of you who have not read Queen of Shadows, you need to click out of this video. What you should be doing is you should be reading this book, because if you haven't read it, you need to read it. I'm serious. Do it. I'm just gonna stop talking. I'm just gonna jump into it. Okay, so let's start with the big thing that I was waiting to find out in this book. And for me, that was what is going to happen with Kale and Selena. Except now we're going to call her Aelin because she's no longer Selena Sardothian, which is crazy, and that took me a while to adjust to because I was like, wait, she's Selena, but now I have to think of her as Aelin. But once I adjusted to it, then I could only think of her as Aelin because she is Aelin. Anyway, so Kale and Aelin. I was waiting for those two to finally be reunited because in Heir of Fire, they were apart, and the way that things were left between them in Crown of Midnight was so intense, and I just had no idea what was going to happen between them. And some of you may know that in the past, I've been a hardcore shipper of those two. I wanted them to be together so badly. So I was really eager to find out what was finally going to happen between those two in this book. So those two are reunited pretty early on in this book, which just had me freaking out because I was like, oh my god, they're finally reunited. And pretty much right off the bat, Sarah J. Maas makes it pretty clear that there is no more Kale and Aelin. Like, Selena Sardothian is gone, and there is never going to be a Kale and Selena ever again. There is just Kale, and then there's Aelin, and those two, they don't mix. So yeah, I was like, wait a second. Are you telling me that my ship is done? That broke my heart a little bit because for whatever reason, I just thought that those two were gonna end up together, but I was wrong. So, you know, I accepted it though. I was like, okay, that's fine. That's okay. I can accept this. I can still love Kale and I can still love Aelin. They don't have to be together. I can accept this. What I was not okay with, though, was how those two were treating each other in this book. They were being so cruel to each other, and I couldn't handle it. When Kale called Aelin a monster, I just wanted to grab him by the shoulders and shake him and be like, who are you and what have you done with Kale? Kale was being a bit of a butt in this book. And luckily, thank God he redeems himself later in the book, which I will get to that later in this video. Anyway, next I want to talk about Aedion. Oh my god, the scene when they are saving him, that was like the first epic and intense scene of the book, and I was freaking out and I was so excited because that was the next big thing that I was excited for in this book. I really wanted to see Aelin and Aedion finally be reunited because in Heir of Fire I fell in love with Aedion's character. It's so sweet how much compassion and dedication he feels towards Aelin, so I was so curious to see what it would finally be like with those two being reunited now that they're older. And oh my god, the scene between those two in her apartment. Were any of you also melting? Because my heart, it was just melting. It was like the cutest freaking scene, and my heart, oh my god, it was so cute. I love those two. Those two are like, they have this adorable brotherly, sisterly relationship, and I think that Aedion is exactly what Aelin needed. I think it's so good that she has this big brother type figure in her life now, because I think it's nice for her to have somebody that really looks after her and can love her in a non-romantic way. Just somebody who's there for her and looks after her and has so much compassion and dedication towards her. And the way that Aedion loves Aelin, I think is just so freaking cute. Also, can I just put it out there that I love Aedion? Aelin obviously is my favorite character ever, like not just in this series, but ever. But besides Aelin, I think that Aedion has to be my favorite character in this series. I have decided that Aedion is my new book boyfriend. And I mean, he's not taken yet, so I volunteer as tribute. Don't any of you get any ideas, he's mine. Although, there is a character in this book that I totally ship him with, and that would be a new character in the series, Lysandra. Lysandra, oh my god, she is another new favorite character for me. Lysandra is just such a badass character, and she's so badass in a way that's very different from Aelin, but both of them are just so badass, and together it's like, they are such a great pair, and I absolutely love their friendship. This is skipping ahead a bit, but at the end, when she basically saved everybody's butts, oh my god, they would have been dead without her. Like, Lysandra literally saved the day, and she is awesome. Okay, so on to the next character that I want to talk about. Rowan. Oh my god, Rowan. I had no idea whether or not Rowan was going to be in this book or not. The entire time I was reading this book, I was like, is Rowan gonna show up? Is he gonna be in this book? I don't know. And then he shows up. I literally squealed out loud, like, yes, it's Rowan, he's back! They had their reunion on the street, and Aelin went and hugged him, and she was crying. Speaking of Rowan and Aelin, yeah, okay, so here is the thing. I love Rowan. Like, in Heir of Fire, I fell in love with his character, and I just love him. But for whatever reason, while I was reading Heir of Fire, I did not see Rowan as a love interest for Aelin. For some reason, I viewed their relationship as strictly a friendship and a very close, special bond. But for some reason, I didn't see it as ever leading to anything romantic at all. So it's not that I didn't like the idea of them being together, it's just that it never crossed my mind. So when it started happening in this book, I was like, wait a second, this is a thing? I didn't know this was a ship. Do I ship this? All of this time I had been a shipper of Kale and Aelin, so now Rowan comes in and he's like, hey, and I'm like, who do I ship? So you guys are probably wondering, do I ship it? The answer is yes. I ship that. You know, I think that Kale and Selena were great together, but her character has gone through so much development, and if you compare Selena Sardothien in the earlier books to Aelin and how she is now, you know, she has really grown so much, and I feel like she's kind of outgrown Kale a little bit. Kale and Aelin will always have a great relationship, but they're just on different levels right now, and I think that these characters are in totally different mindsets and just totally different places right now, and I just don't think that they are really at a place where they could ever meet at that level again. Whereas Aelin and Rowan, I feel, are really on the same level, and I feel like Aelin and Rowan are equals. And you can tell that when Aelin is with Rowan, he brings out this vulnerable and soft side in her that we don't get to see that often, and you can tell that the love and the feelings that Aelin has for Rowan are totally different than what she had with Kale or Dorian. So, on to the next thing that I want to talk about. Dorian! Oh my god, Dorian! Oh my god, like seriously. I'm pretty sure Sarah J. Maas was trying to just break my heart into a million pieces. Dorian is my baby. He is my baby, and when he was going through all of that, oh my god. The entire time I was just like, wake up, snap out of it. So speaking of Dorian, I want to talk a little bit about Manon. Manon and Dorian, that is totally gonna be a thing. I feel like I kind of ship it. On one hand, I kind of feel like Manon could eat Dorian alive, and I don't know if he can handle her, but at the same time, I ship it. Manon better not hurt him. I'm serious. Dorian does not deserve to be hurt any more than he already has. So Manon, she better treat him well, or else she's gonna have to deal with me. And oh my god, the scene with Manon and Aelin. Oh my god. Literally was the most epic scene that I have ever read in a book. I was waiting for those two characters to finally meet for so long, because for so long we had Manon's chapters and then we had Aelin's chapters, but they never crossed, and both Manon and Aelin are such badass characters that I just knew that when they crossed paths, it was gonna be cray. All of the characters were in one scene in this epic battle. Okay, so we have this super intense and awesome battle scene between Aelin and Manon, and I'm just like, what is gonna happen? What is gonna happen? I was freaking out. Okay, and then we have Manon dying, and then what does Aelin do? She saves her. And in that moment, I was like, this is why I love you. This is why Aelin is my favorite character ever. In that moment, instead of looking at Manon as her enemy, she saw the humanity in her, and she saw her as somebody who in that moment did not deserve to die. And she went out of her way and took a risk saving her enemy. And that was such a huge risk, but it was so beautiful and it was so incredible. I was like, this is why I love you. You are perfect. So on to the next scene that had me freaking out in this book. The scene between Arobin and Aelin when Arobin put that ring on her finger. I was like, this is it. It's done. It's the end. But no, they go back to the apartment and it turns out that Aelin tricked him. And I was just like, again, you are perfect and this is why I love you. She literally, this entire book, Aelin managed to outsmart everybody, and she planned everything so perfectly in this book. It was just incredible. She is seriously so awesome, it blows my mind. So speaking of Arobin, I was not sad at all when he died. He is awful, especially when Aelin ended up changing the will. I was like, yes, you did it again. You did everything right. Okay, so moving on to the next scene that had me freaking out. The finale. Oh my god. I am like pretty positive that Sarah J. Maas was trying to give me a heart attack. The entire time I was reading those few chapters, I was a wreck. Okay, but the finale. Oh my god, the finale! Where do I even start? So, we have the moment where Rowan and Aedion are supposed to blow up the tower as Aelin is facing the king with Kale, except everything goes wrong, and then they're not blowing up the tower. They can't blow it up. It doesn't work because they're attacked, and then Aelin is stuck with the king, and I'm like, no. no, oh my god, what is going on? I was like, I knew it. I knew that something was gonna go wrong with the plan because it was too perfect and there was no way it was gonna work out, and of course, everything is going wrong. So anyway, then we have Aelin and Kale facing the king, and Dorian, poor freaking Dorian, not able to do anything, standing there with the stupid collar on his neck. And then that brings us to the craziest scene of the entire book. This scene had me a mess. When Kale sacrificed himself, you guys, I thought he was dead. And I was like, no, not Kale, not Kale. I read that page over and over again, like 10 different times, just to make sure I read it right and I was not like hallucinating. And then I was like, oh my god, he died. In that moment, I just broke into a sob and I was bawling my eyes out. I thought it was done. At that point, I thought he was just dead. I did not see there being any chance of him still being alive. So thank God he ended up being alive. Oh my god. I'm so glad that he survived. Oh my gosh. And that Aelin put the eye in his pocket. Okay, so anyway, then we have the battle scene between Dorian and Aelin. I was just like, Dorian, snap out of it. You need to stop this. You need to stop this right now. But then finally, Aelin puts the ring on his finger and he snaps out of it, and I was like, yes! Okay, and now we have like the best moment of the book. When Aelin and Dorian held hands and combined their magic. This is the moment I have been waiting for. I had been waiting so long for there to be like an epic scene between Dorian and Aelin combining their magic. I just knew it was gonna happen. I was waiting for it, and it did. So we have Dorian and Aelin, my two babies, combining their magic. Dorian destroys the whole glass castle, and then Aelin goes and makes her first speech as the Queen of Terrasen, and it was just perfect. I could not stop crying. So we have this weird moment between the king and Dorian and Aelin, and I was like, whoa, back up a second. Like, what? I did not see that coming at all, and I don't know how to feel about it. I truly don't. So what do you guys think? Because I don't know. The only thing that the book leaves us with that is really upsetting is what happens with Kale and his legs. Oh my god. No, okay, if Kale doesn't get his legs back and he can't walk again, no, like he has to be healed. He doesn't deserve any of this. Kale just deserves the best. So the part that just had me tearing up the most, oh my god, was the ending when we have Kale and Dorian and Aelin all together reunited in the same room. And it just brought so many emotions flooding back because it was like the original three finally together again, and it was like old times. It was like the first book, and they were all together after everything that they had been through. I feel like it's kind of good in a way that Aelin doesn't have a romantic relationship with Dorian or Kale anymore, because now there's like this special and amazing friendship and bond, and I love it. I love that friendship and that trio. And I was just in awe of the way that Sarah J. Maas managed to seamlessly wrap everything together. Like, she literally could not have done a better job of wrapping up this book. This book was seriously more perfect than I could have ever imagined it to be. I'm just speechless when it comes to this book. I cried to my mom about this book. I'm pretty sure she thinks I'm insane. This is the best book that I have read this year, hands down. I actually felt kind of moved by this book because there's something about Sarah J. Maas's writing that always has a strong effect on me, because I just think that she is such an incredible writer, and her books just make me so happy. Every time I read one of Sarah J. Maas's books, it reminds me why I love reading so much and just why I love books. And I'm about to make a pretty big statement here. After reading this book, You know, I already knew that I loved Sarah J Maas and that I'm obsessed with her, and I mention her in pretty much every single video that I do. This book really reminded me of why I love this series so much and why I love Sarah J Maas so much. And I can honestly say that Sarah J Maas is my favorite author. She really, truly is my favorite author, and I can only hope that one day I will get the chance to meet her. As a writer, reading her writing inspires me to write, and I know I'm just gushing a lot at this point, and I'm sorry, but honestly, I look up to her so much. Another big statement that I'm about to make is that after reading this book, I think I can say that this is my favorite series. And you know, I don't pick favorite books. That's like picking a favorite child. But these books are my babies. I don't think any other books make me feel quite the same way. And also, my favorite main character of all times in this book, Aylin. Aylin is my favorite fictional character ever. After reading this book, I just love her even more. I love how much her character has grown, and I feel like I just have this connection with her, and I just love her so much. So I need to wrap up this video because my camera is currently dying because I have been fangirling here for like way too long. Please, in the comments below, feel free to freak out and fangirl and just go crazy because I'm with you. If I could, I would give this book 5 billion, trillion, gazillion, million, drillion stars. So I hope that you guys go and have yourself a wonderful day. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching me freak out today. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next time.